Joining us on the phones, GOP political strategist, it's Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Chad. I'm doing great this morning. How about you?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us. I want to start off talking about a couple of items in the Must Read Texas newsletter that was sent out, and one of those items being the lieutenant governor. Not really. He and Joe Straus still aren't getting along, it seems, and he is not really seeing the reason for this, business committee that Speaker Straus put together. What's going on there?
So, yeah, the House Speaker, Joe Straus, has appointed and created a new committee, which I think is I think it's for the interim, although I'm not sure if it's going to continue beyond that. But I believe it's just an interim charge to study the issue of economic competitiveness in the state of Texas. On the surface, that doesn't sound that controversial. He wants to make sure that the state has policies that keep Texas competitive compared to other states, that put us in a position where we can continue to have more companies moving here, move their headquarters here, hiring more. All very good things. I think if you dig a little deeper, this is possibly an effort to perhaps use a sort of a backdoor way to go after the bathroom bill and to start to make arguments against the bathroom bill to say, listen, the bathroom bill would have made us less economically competitive. And perhaps one example of that will be the Amazon headquarters, the Amazon HQ2, which is I think received bids from a number of cities, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Boston, a number of other cities around the country that are bidding for it. And there's some belief that perhaps that legislative debate that occurred during our regular session earlier this year could hurt Texas cities for competing. And I think that's kind of the point the lieutenant governor's making, kind of in a roundabout way. He's saying, listen, we don't need a committee. Texas is already competitive. Governor Perry showed that. Governor Abbott showed that. We continue to show that legislatively through all the things we do to lower taxes, remove regulations, stimulate businesses and hiring and economic growth. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see whether that committee does real hearings that have real substance and then produces a real report, which I think they have to do maybe by the end of the year. Or if it ends up being sort of a way for a committee to sort of attack the bathroom bill, to try to give political cover to some of the members of the House that opposed it.
Which, I mean, the bathroom bill hasn't really been talked about by the governor, the lieutenant governor, that much after the legislative session. I seem to hear more from the from the speaker about the bathroom bill than I do about from the lieutenant governor or governor right now. I don't know if they think it's dead, but it's one of those where maybe it'll be brought up in a campaign ad during the primary season, but it seems like that's sort of what Straus is aiming for, is that he wants this to be a campaign issue for his side or the more moderate Republicans maybe. Is that what's going on?
I'm not sure because I don't think that opposition to the bathroom bill is a widely held view in the Republican primary. So that's why I'm not sure this makes a ton of sense politically.
Right.
I think it's more about offering House members a way. Look, my guess is this report that the committee is going to put together is going to show that based on testimony that they heard, the bathroom bill would have been very bad for economic competitiveness in Texas. I think that's what this is about. They want to have a piece of evidence they can point to try to explain why opposing the bathroom bill was good for the state of Texas and gives them an argument that their members can make if they're attacked in Republican primaries. I think some of them will be attacked. Byron Cook in Corsicana and the area between sort of Waco and Dallas is going to be attacked on that issue to a great extent. He's the state affairs chairman, being challenged again by Thomas McNutt, who ran against him last time and very narrowly lost. Whether it's used in a broader way against some other House members, I think remains to be seen if that's really going to be done. I think there's a range of other issues, property tax reform certainly being one of them, perhaps the issue of union dues, certainly school choice. There's a range of issues there, I think, that can be used against some more mainstream or moderate members of the Texas House. We'll see whether whether some of those issues end up being part of whatever this committee ends up putting in their report as well.
Only one Republican senator did not officially endorse Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick in his campaign, which I think he will cruise to easy victory in, and that was State Senator Kel Seliger up in Amarillo. He says that he wants to focus on his own campaign. I don't think there's anyone who really buys into that. He and the Lieutenant Governor saw things differently in this past legislative session. What does that mean for Seliger and his campaign that he's not on board with Dan Patrick moving forward?
Yeah, I'm not sure that this is smart politics for Senator Seliger. He's being challenged by two candidates. One is a former Texas Public Policy Foundation board member, Victor Leal in Amarillo, who's a restaurant owner, who I think is being advised by the same consultant that is working for Lieutenant Governor. And then the other is the person that almost beat him last time, the former mayor, I believe, of Odessa, Mike Cannon, who very narrowly lost to Seliger last time. I'm not sure I understand the value for Seliger of not endorsing Patrick when every other Republican senator has done so, and when you've been notified of that. There's strength in numbers there, and so in this case, all it does is it accentuates or highlights the fact that Seliger has had some disagreements with Patrick on a couple issues, school choice being one of them. Which, at least on that issue, you could perhaps understand in West Texas. You have a very large number of school districts, a very low number of private school or charter school options. You can at least make an argument that in rural areas that's a debate worth having. But again, I mean, announcing on putting your name on a list one day doesn't take your focus away from your own race for the state senate. I think in this case, Seliger's being stubborn. Not sure it's really gaining him much. May end up costing him something. We'll see if Patrick does ultimately stay out. He has said he will stay out of that race, but that's going to be one of 3 state senate primaries that are going to be very hotly contested this March.
Do you buy into this argument that there's this in rural West Texas? I don't really see it, but and maybe this is where Seliger is coming from, that there is a backlash in rural Texas against people like Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott?
No, I don't buy into it. I mean, I think, as I said before, on the issue of school choice, you have school administrators and superintendents and teachers groups and principals, that are very much against school choice, and that's particularly true in rural areas. And so I think on that one issue, you may have a difference of opinion. But no, I see really no evidence of that. I mean, my expectation is Patrick and Abbott will do even better in rural areas than they will in suburban and urban areas. Yeah. I think that's true, probably both in the primary and the general election next year. So, no, I think they're both in strong shape in rural areas. The school choice issue is a little bit different, but on the broader issues, I think they both are very popular in rural Texas.
Matt, tell folks how they can sign up for that morning email, and then also the latest podcast that you have up.
Yeah, we have a morning newsletter that we send around. That's a statewide newsletter called Must Read Texas. You can learn more at mustreadtexas.com. We put all the news in one email and send it out every weekday. And the podcast is called Mac on Politics, M-A-C-K on Politics. We've done 51 episodes. It's available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Most recent episode is with Buck Sexton, national radio host, Fox News contributor, and former CIA analyst. We talk all about the Middle East, Iraq, Iran, Syria, ISIS, all those issues. And folks can check that out, as I said, on those sites, or also at maconpolitics.com.
Very good. Matt, appreciate it. We'll visit with you next week.
Take care. See ya.